Hey guys, it's Tombox. Tombox! Since I got the box hat on already, let's go all the way and put on the Friday glasses. Welcome to MST.TV, guys. Now before we begin, quick story time. You guys know I really don't like things with multiple eyeballs. In the recent set of Blazing Vortex, every single JAMA pink is like a landmine to me. It just creeps me out. I have to be extra careful. And the one on my desk has kind of gone missing. So I feel like my wife is plotting something evil. Like, ever since I mentioned that I might hide spiders in our bed. Anyways, moving on. You guys are here to hear the explanation of the reasoning behind why people are dropping Torrential Tribute. We are also going to look into Underwold Goddess of the Closed World and its interaction with IP Masquerena. And those of you who are playing There Can Be Only One and Gamma. Those are probably the most frequently asked questions, the most frequent misplays happening right now. And I'm going to give you guys the in-depth ruling explanation for all of that. And one more thing, we are going to go on to Twitter because I did do a little tweet on there for the first time asking you guys to ask me a ruling question. I'm going to be answering your ruling questions there. So if you guys see it pop up or you want to ask me a ruling question that maybe we come up in this video, well, you guys can go follow me on Twitter. But one more thing, surprise giveaway. We are going to unlock a giveaway. I have to do something to unlock this giveaway, guys, and this giveaway is actually kind of big. It's actually 2 boxes and a tin. And for me to unlock this giveaway, I must tell you guys my favorite product of 2020. And I guess, yeah, the might as well get this one out of the way. My favorite product of 2020, main set would be Rise of the Duelist. Ages so nicely, like fine wine. You know what? Not fine wine. Ages like a fine box of first edition Legend of Blue Eyes. Yeah, that's a better way of putting it. Then there's also the best all foil product, Dual Overload. And even to this day, I think Maximum Gold is still a good product. Whether or not you be chasing the crazy misprints or you're chasing for some of those delectable reprints, I think it's actually fantastic. I actually do like these gold rares, and those are my favorites. So now that I've said that, the giveaway is unlocked. You guys can let me know what your favorite product is down in the comment section. But make sure you guys check the link in the description to join this giveaway. It's going to be a box of Phantom Rage. It's going to be a box of Rage of Raw. And there's one more thing. There's going to be one Megatin 2020. So yeah, that's actually a pretty big giveaway. Of course, feel free to sign up down in the description in the Gleam link. All right, so on towards the rulings. So if you guys didn't catch it already, ruling number 1 is going to be about Torrential Tribute versus the meta. Then we have IP Masquerena and the interaction with the Underworld Goddess of the Closed World. And finally, we're going to talk about There Can Be Only One versus Gamma. And then we're going to jump onto Twitter to see what people are asking these days. Okay, ruling number 1 has to do with Torrential Tribute versus the meta. Virtual World and Drytron alike. 3 weeks ago, everyone was raving about the card wiping boards like no tomorrow. However, 3 weeks later, people are dropping it like GameStop. Unfortunately, we're going to have to go deep into the card decks. And I want to explain this in a ruling sense of why people are dropping it, because it has a lot to do with it. So first of all, Torrential Tribute, when a monster is summoned, destroy all monsters on the field. Seems very self-explanatory. It uses a when wording in here. When meaning the last action performed has to have been the summon, or else you will not be able to activate it. That is actually a very crucial part, because virtual world monsters and Drytron monsters have something to kind of circumvent this. So people thought that it was amazing if they can do it on any of the virtual world. However, people have learned how to play around it because of the fact that there is a when activation requirement. When activation requirement and if activation requirement, of course, are different. If just has to have happened during the previous chain. Torrential requires as the last action with the when. So let's look into the virtual world. Mahime, Lulu, and Lily. Lulu and Lily are the 2 that are basically guaranteed to dodge as long as you're able to perform the second part of the effect. So I'm going to skip right on ahead. You know, you can special summon this card. Then you can add a virtual world card of the 3rd type from your deck to your hand. Because of the word then, the whole thing resolves in sequence. And because it resolves in sequence, that's when you are unable to chain Torrential Tribute. The last thing that happened was not the summoning of the monster. The last thing that happened was the adding of a card or the sending of a card. However, this is where the part gets a little bit more confusing for some people. They start to compare this with Gigi. Gigi is the one that causes a little bit more argument. Of course, the guaranteed popper would be if you use Lao Lao, because Lao Lao summons a monster as a last action, and since you did summon something as a last action, Torrential would be able to go through. But what about a monster like Gigi? Gigi also has a then conjunction attached to it, but it does not actually do anything. In that case, why don't we actually go back to the Lulu? If Lulu does not actually search a card, what happens then? What do you do there? Well, if Lulu does not actually search a card, then the last action performed would have been the summoning of Lulu and it would have been destroyed. But what about Gigi? Gigi has a then conjunction there. And as for Gigi, it says then during the end phase of this turn, you can add a virtual world monster from your graveyard to your hand, except for virtual world Gigi. So does this then means that something else happened in the sequence? The answer is no, nothing else really happened in the sequence. You just got an applied effect that kind of went on top of it. And the last action performed technically is still the monster being summoned. So if Gigi is summoned onto the field and well, it's basically summoned through its own effect, you will be able to torrential Gigi. The only two that you can't really do are Lulu and Lily, because those ones will search or send a different card to the graveyard. That's why I highly recommend anyone that's playing Virtual World, don't skip steps, because I don't think I can honestly rule in your favor, because if you skip steps, you prevented your opponent from responding to you, did not provide ample time for your opponent to respond. Therefore, we might be able to actually reverse the game state if that was the case. So yeah, just be very careful. If you try to skip steps, that's exactly what's going to happen. At least that's how it's going to happen on my behalf anyways. So there you have it. And why does it not work for Drytron? Drytron, very similarly, if you use Drytron Alpha, you get to summon out the monster, then you get to add a ritual monster, then you get to add a ritual spell, then you get to draw a card. The one card that always works for you is going to be Gamma. Drytron Gamma summons at the end, so you'll be able to use your Torrential Tribute, which creates a huge limitation. That means Alpha is always going to be safe from the Torrential, so in other words, they can probably choose to activate Alpha last to bypass some of these effects from Torrential, which is why a lot of people shift over to Needle Sealing, because there isn't that kind of requirement. Now, that last ruling, I want to give a huge shout out to the ruling zone. They helped me answer the Gigi part about, especially when I broke apart the then conjunction. I was like, hey, isn't that supposed to be like a separation, like something else happened? But they've given me the explanation that we're counting on last action. Think about it this way. Their example for me was Lily. Like, if you use Lily's effect and you choose not to actually send a card, so in other words, you still did that, you can send something, but you chose not to, so you're still going to be able to hit them with a Torrential Tribute. That's actually a great way to explain it, because you know, even though you can go past the then part, you're still looking at last action, and that could still be the part before the then. And that is the explanation. But anyways, next ruling here is Underworld Goddess of the Closed World versus IP Masquerena. Can you use your opponent's monster as a link material using IP Masquerena? I get where this one is coming from. People are always talking about the wording here, so we're going to go into the wording here. Now, during your opponent's main phase, you can, that's all it is, you can quick effect. You just do something. It actually, IP Masquerena literally does nothing. But immediately after this effect resolves, link summon one link monster using materials you control, including this card. The key word here people are really just picking at is the word you control. However, I want to bring this into your context here, is that anything that says immediately after this effect resolves, perform something, it's just the actual performance of that action. It's just how it is. It's telling you to perform a link summon, and it doesn't say using only monsters you control. So that was a key thing that is missing. It doesn't say that you can only use the monster you control. It's like opening up an option. Like Lair of Darkness lets you tribute one of your opponent's monster. That's not an activated effect either. That's just an opening of an option. And similarly, Underworld Goddess of the Closed World states that you can use one monster your opponent controls as a link material. Now, there are other precedents for this, if you guys don't agree with me so far, which would be the Code Talker packages. You know how you can use them to link in hand? IP Masquerena can link on the field on her own with one of those monsters in hand. And technically that monster isn't something that you control. Again, these are cards are opening the option for you to use them elsewhere, use them other material. And yeah, so that's kind of the breakdown. So IP Masquerena, yes, you can go into the goddess of the, I'm just gonna call her Goddess of the Closed World, and you are able to use one of your opponent's monsters to do so during the resolution of IP's effect. And just to throw something else in here regarding the Goddess, is that if your opponent has like an Ultimate Falcon, can you use that as material? And the answer to that is yes, you can, because you're just performing a summon based through a condition. The Ultimate Falcon is not affected by any card effects. However, that is not a card effect. That is a condition within the card, summoning condition. So it does have its bypass. It's kind of like throwing a kaiju on someone. You're using a summoning condition to kind of get rid of some cards are immune. And question number 3, there can be only one versus Psyframe Gear Gamma. I feel like I've already answered this in a previous video, but it came up again, so I'm going to answer it once more. Cannot be normal summoned, must be special summoned by a card effect. Okay, so when your opponent activates a monster effect while you control no monsters, quick effect, you can special summon now both this card from your hand and one Psyframe driver from your hand deck or graveyard. And if you do, negate that activation. Yeah, this whole episode is basically all about the conjunctions and the way that the texts work with each other. And during the end phase, you can banish the face-up monster summoned by this effect. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, so can you use Gamma while you're locked under there can be only one, which is you can only have one typing of the monster that's on the field. So the answer to this question is yes, you can activate Psyframe Gear Gamma while there can be only one is active. The reason why that is because, well, the monsters are summoned out simultaneously. You can summon both this card from your hand and one Psyframe driver from your hand deck or graveyard. And if you do negate the activation, the summoning will be performed. There's nothing that's going to prevent that. And once it's performed, then you would have 2 psychic monsters on the field. Then you will be able to choose which one gets sent away to fulfill the condition and the lockdown from the there can be only one. But since the summoning did occur, then, and if you do, that means you've done the part A of it, negate the activation, and if you do that, you can destroy that monster. So in other words, yes, Psyframe Gear Gamma will work under there can be only one. The moment that the summoning is complete, the monster will be basically sent away, and of course the negation of that activation would have occurred and that monster would have been destroyed. Okay, we're finishing off this video on Twitter, and Friday's off. I can handle all this on my own. Don't need no AI to tell me what's going on. So ask me a question. If it's asked enough, I'll put it on a video tomorrow. So yeah, that's kind of what I posted, I guess many hours ago, 12 hours ago. It's about like 2 in the morning right now. So yeah, also there is that giveaway. Just a reminder, guys, that the giveaway is happening. Of course, link in the description. Make sure you guys sign up for that Gleam link, and there is going to be a code required that you guys have to email me if you are selected as a winner, and you guys should know what that code is. I flashed it in the very beginning, and if you guys don't, well, I'm pretty sure you guys will just look it up again. You're gonna see some weird stuff on screen and be like, oh yeah, what's going on? Anyways, yeah, and I also have remaining 4 boxes left to give for, or sorry, 3 boxes left to give for Phantom Rage. I wrote 4 for some reason. And okay, let's begin. Avir asks, explain the effects, a card effect activation in the damage step. Like if I activate Honest in the damage step, can opponent call by the grave? The answer to that is no, you can't use Call by the Grave, because Call by the Grave, well, can't be activated in the damage step because it does not directly negate a card. The reason why you can use stuff in the damage step would be they directly modify attack or defense stats. They change it directly. They can't be through another effect. The second thing is that it's either a counter trap or it has something to do with direct activation negation. It has to be negating the activation of something. Call by the Grave does not negate the activation of something. It banishes something and then negates the effects. That's not the same case. So yeah. Can you Solemn Strike an Honest? Yes, you can. Can you Ash Blossom an Unchained monster being destroyed by battle? No, you can't, because that's in damage step. And Ash does not Ash does not negate activation, negates the effects. Next, we have I control a face of evil eye monster. Okay, if you guys are going to submit a question, please be as specific as possible just so that I can provide proper context. If I control an evil eye monster and I activate an evil eye Celine to equip, opponent chains a card to the activation of Celine as chainlink 2, and then I chain SS2 Super Saiyan 2 Evil Eye card as chainlink 3. What is that? Okay, I really don't know what that is. Can you guys leave a comment down in the comment section of what you guys think an SS2 Evil Eye is? Because I can't answer without knowing what that card is. Then there is Totally Rosie. Totally Rosie asks, if you use Omega's effect to banish, I'm assuming you're talking about the effect to banish itself. Yeah, that's the only banishing effect, where you banish a card from their hand. On your next turn, the barrier statue is still on the field. How will that resolve? Well, barrier statue only prevents people from special summoning out of that particular type, so it's fine. You're returning onto the field. Returning to the field does not count as a special summon, so you're fine. Tatsum asks, oh my god, really? You're gonna ask? So what I have to say about the Convulsion of Nature question here, if like you're making everything the same and Convulsion of Nature and you attack into a parasite, it will go into your deck, blah 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 blah, what happens then? Okay, let me just break this all down right now. Convulsion of Nature applies to your deck. It makes your deck upside down, so anything that would be technically right side up would become upside down. All right, let me give you a context here. If you use Nightmare Unicorn, spin a card back into upside down, that card goes back into the deck basically upside down, which would be facing up, because Convulsion of Nature applies to it. So by the time it gets there, it flips it around. In that particular context, you can apply that to, say, Parasite would put the card face up. But because by the time you get to the deck, it's supposed to be face up, Convulsion of Nature applies and it goes basically into the deck face down. So that's how it's going to work, and now there's nothing really much to worry about. Lucifer Sam, can you tribute a face down spellcaster for the effects of Dark Renewal? Looking up Dark Renewal does not actually even have any kind of tributing, so there's not much you can do about this one. Yeah, Dark Renewal does not tribute, it sends. You target whatever spellcaster you control. Yeah, that spellcaster has to be face up because we need to know the typing. Next, Juan asks if Heavenly Zephyr Miradora is special summon from the hand from Dragoon Romulus' second effect, will it retain its effect since its effect cannot be negated? I mean, if it was summoned by Romulus' second effect, yeah, it would still retain its effect thanks to the first line here, the activation of this card, the activation and effect of this card as effect cannot be negated. That is a condition. That's not exactly an effect, so it will not be blocked by anything, by any means. Next, we have Carry 1017. Phase Verta Anaconda to copy Greater Poly. Does the fusion summon monster gain piercing ability? For me, the answer is yes, because if you use Red Eyes Fusion, the monster you summon out still retains the name of Red Eyes Fusion. You're applying its activated effects, so yeah, I don't see why it wouldn't. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong, because I can be wrong sometimes, and I don't mind being corrected, because it's all about playing correctly and playing fair. All right, so it is now 2:30 in the morning. I just have gone through this. If you guys want to join and maybe join in the next video, ask a question, I'll answer it here. Yeah, that's fine too. Maybe this will be the way I do ruling segments moving forward, so I can actually handle more cases. And if you guys have other questions, leave it down in the comment section. Appreciate you guys. You guys are such lovely people. And yeah, that's all I got for this video. If you guys enjoyed this video, smash a thumbs up button. If you guys like to to subscribe, see more video, hit subscribe. I've got a really special deck that I was going to post in this particular spot. I just finished building it. I've tested it for a very long time. I'm very happy with it. Well, make sure you guys do subscribe, and don't forget about the giveaway, and I'll see you guys basically, oh my god, I'm blurry, in the next one.